Hey Pikachu, do you want to go hang out at an underwater theme park, which is built out in the middle of the ocean, is funded by a German medical research company, and looks like a secret base of a James Bond villain?
Pikachu!
Awesome, let's go!
Pika, pika, pik, pika, pik.
Yeah, it sure is. I'm so happy there won't be any, suspiciously convenient accidents that would flood half of the facility in water, leaving us trapped 45 meters below the surface with only 6 days to escape before the whole complex would collapse on top of itself.
Pika, pika, pik.
Just for the record, that speed opening is actually from the Xbox 360 version. The OP on the PC is unfortunately not nearly as good. But anyway, Ever17 starts off with our characters arriving at Lemieux, the world's first underwater theme park. Situated out in the middle of the ocean and built under an artificial island, this completely man-made miracle of engineering is a unique attraction that was built to let people look out into the ocean through windows. Even though it should be pitch black out there, I guess. And ride on merry-go-rounds? Maybe? Yeah, apart from its gimmick of being underwater, they never quite explained just why Lemieux is such a popular attraction. But, whatever. It's just a plot point to set up a story anyway. Unlike some visual novels out there, Ever17 thankfully starts off rather quickly. It spends about half an hour introducing the reader to a world, and after that, highly unsurprisingly, a mysterious accident happens, and the entire theme park goes ablaze, flooding half of it in water, and 7 survivors who are unable to escape in time then find themselves trapped in the now abandoned station. Said unlucky survivors are of course our cast of main characters. You and Sarah, the 2 bright and positive girls, one who has a terrifyingly long full name, and one who's a genius hacker. Sora, a systems engineer at Lemieux who more or less ends up being the calm and composed leader of the group. Coco, a 14-year-old girl who behaves like she was 7. Tsugumi, who always acts very cold and distant to the others, for no apparent reason. And finally, the Kid and Takashi. They are in fact both the playable main characters, as depending on which storyline you pick, you will experience the story from either one of their perspectives. In Ever17, there are 4 routes to read, 2 for Takashi and 2 for the Kid, plus the true route which are unlocked after finishing all 4 of them. You can go ahead and play them in any order as you want, but I would recommend reading at least one of the Kid's route before Takashi's, as there are quite a few questions which are raised in his storyline which are then answered in Takashi's routes. Or well, partially answered at least. The real questions are of course left for the final route. Overall, I cannot say there was anything truly outstanding about any of the characters, but all 6 of them do end up getting enough characterization to have 3-dimensional personalities, and you will most likely care to some degree what happens to them. Or I mean the 7 of them. Or are they 6 after all? Or wait, 5? Why is it that the central computer cannot determine how many people there are in the facility? And why does it seem like our fellow survivors all know more than what they are telling about the whole situation? Can they truly be trusted? And how come no one comes to help them, even though news of the disaster must have reached the surface by now? Yes, at first glance, this may look like a survival story, but at its core, Ever17 is actually more of a sci-fi mystery story, as a short time after the incident, a series of inexplainable events starts occurring throughout the facility, and the characters are forced to not only ensure their own survival, but also, however unwillingly or not, try to figure out just why they were actually put in this situation. And I might as well be clear on this, the mystery in this novel is by far its biggest strength. From the beginning it goes relatively easy on you, but as the story progresses it gradually gets more and more complex, and slowly starts to play on your presumptions, hide plot points in plain sight, starts tying into different philosophical and scientific topics, and just flat out tricks you on several occasions. By the end of the novel, it had turned into one of the most confusing, mind-twisting, mind-melting stories that I have ever seen. Put bluntly, the mystery in this visual novel is pretty darn brilliant. I know that's not a word to be tossed around lightly, but in this case, I honestly feel it was validated. with the possible exception of the ending, which I will get to later. An inevitable problem, though, is that the novel actually throws so many details at you, it even becomes overwhelming at times. This isn't one which you can simply shut off your brain and read just for the sake of killing some time every now and then. Nah. You have to pay attention while reading this thing. You have to make an effort to remember all the different plot points it tosses at you, as otherwise it will be completely impossible to make any sense out of it all. Truly dedicated readers might even want to consider keeping notes while going through it. The game also does a very good job at building atmosphere. It wants to make you feel the pressure of being trapped at the bottom of the ocean, not knowing if you're ever gonna see the sun again, hearing the cracking sound of metal bending around you, aware that any minute the walls around you could come crashing down, flooding everything around you in ice-cold water. Or, well, for the most part. The novel actually spends at least an equal amount of time with the daily interaction between characters, such when they're having meals of chicken salad sandwiches and playing games of kick the can. Personally, I like these sections as they could be quite funny at times, but other readers might find these parts to be just tedious and boring though. Overall though, I honestly don't have a lot of major complaints about how either the story or the characters were written. It was simply quite solid throughout most of it. However, Ever17 has a lot of other problems. The biggest issue I see with Ever17 is that it loops. It is designed so you're supposed to finish one route, then go into the other ones with the knowledge from the first one, where you discover new bits and pieces of the mystery that ties into the earlier route. Thing is though, even though it intentionally repeats, and for sure some of the best moments in it was caused specifically because of this fact, it still repeats. Unlike, say, Rewrite, in which all the routes had very different plot lines, Ever17 just tells the same basic story over and over and over. And no matter how you twist and turn it, that is not a good thing. This was especially true for Sora's and Tsugumi's route, as the two of them were basically identical right up until the last few hours. Now this would not have been such a big deal if it wasn't for the fact that the routes are not optional. If you want to solve the mystery in Ever17, you are forced to read all of it, which means that it's almost inevitable that the novel will eventually feel incredibly repetitive, stagnant, and boring. This is of course only amplified by the fact that this is another one of those 50-hour plus long beasts. Whoop-de-freaking-do! You better have a lot of spare time on your hands if you're planning to pick this one up. To make matters worse, the choices in Ever17 are so utterly ambiguous it is basically impossible to finish without game facts. Like right here, I've got a total of 9 choices on how to crack code on a piece of paper. There's no clear indication of which is the right solution, and you only get 3 tries to figure it out. And if you don't get it right, you're dead set for the bad ending 3 hours later, and you will be forced to restart and try to figure out where you went wrong. It's nothing but blind luck and adds no enjoyment value whatsoever. There's a patch for the soundtrack that I want to mention. See, in 2011, the developers made a remake of Ever17 for the Xbox 360, with updated sounds and visuals, which some guy on the internet then used to make a patch for the PC version, which replaced the original soundtrack with the remastered tracks of the Xbox 360 version. Go and listen to it for a bit. Personally, I prefer and would recommend the remastered soundtrack, but the original tracks also get the job done, so it's entirely up to you which version you would rather play with. Finally, I just have to say a few words about the ending to this visual novel. If you don't want to hear me say a few words about it though, just turn on animation and use this button to skip this section of the review. Right then, that ending, I did not like it because, well, it really was just one huge Deus Ex Machina ending. One that would leave massive plot holes, involve random time travel and telekinesis, and the moment when they revived a person who had drowned at the bottom of the ocean using what I can only describe as the power of magic. It was pretty freaking stupid. I can of course see why others would like it, because that plot twist right at the end, it was really freaking cool, I will admit that, but I personally did not feel it made up all the random because we say so writing that the developers just pulled out of their pocket. I consider Ever17 to be a diamond covered in mud. Its core elements, being its mystery and to a slightly lesser extent its atmosphere, are some of the best I've ever seen. But the entire experience is just bogged down by its repetitive nature, massive length and irritating mechanics. Plus, with the attention and plot point memorization it requires, it's a rather difficult read too. So, would I recommend Ever17? Well, this should go without saying, but if you just want an easy way to kill a few hours every now and then no. Like, I think literally everything I've reviewed up until this point would be easy to digest in Ever17. Even Rewrite, and Rewrite was a freaking 100+ hour long titan. If you have the patience and perseverance of an angel though, yes, you should at least give it a try. If you can put up with all its flaws, it's such a mind-twisting read, it's still worth it. And now comes the part where I intend to use the Xbox 360 opening as an outro. Which is probably a bit out of place, since most of us will never play that version, but it's just too good not to use. Enjoy!